All right, so today we are going to talk about the Italian city-states, specifically probably Florence in itself. And we're going to talk about this family, the Medici. They were the number one patrons of art and architecture, and so forth and so on, during the time of the Renaissance and even beyond, in Italy. They were wealthy bankers who lived in Florence, and they became the call them a king, basically, of Florence in itself. And they were, like I said, wealthy bankers who really enjoyed the arts and commissioning artists and architectural engineers and all of these aspects to beautify Florence in its entirety. So you're looking at two of the paintings of the Medici's uh, during the time, and I wanted to show you guys actually their family art that I've come up with. Here is a family art aspect of the Medici family. You can see the three of them, and when you look at this, you can tell that they're obviously important aspects. And this one, I remember correctly, he is one that ends up being the Pope of the Roman Catholic Church. You also have um, this one right here, uh, which is actually within the United States. But you can see, the look of the Medici family. Look at this gentleman's knees, leg area, and how defined it is. They were looking at this and wanting to put that human definition and aspect within their art that they had. Um, Here is Cosimo Medici. He is probably the most well known of the Medicis, um, and you can see like he didn't want to really more than likely look at the painter, and the painter painted him this way. Um, to see even in his other paintings here and here. Here is actually the entire of the Medici family. So you can see that they have a long history of being part of the Florentine government and movement of the Renaissance. And the interesting thing about the Medici family is the fact that they um, they really commissioned a lot of people to come and work for them. And you're looking and you're talking about people like Leonardo and Donatello, Michelangelo, a guy named Brunelleschi. Pardon me, all these Italian names. They were taking a people, and then they spread their ideas. The two daughters that were part of the Medici family, they actually married into royalty in France, and brought like ballet and painting and different styles of painting to other European countries. So we look at Italy and the city states, and at this point in time, kind of go back to thinking about how the Muslim Empire was before they were like conglomerated or brought into one aspect, united. We can go with that. So that's how Italy was during this time. They were not united, and these city states fought over control of certain aspects of trade, and areas. And obviously, if you were a powerful city in a powerful city state, you had a chance to expand your territory and influence other people and other towns and other city states. Um, they all conducted their own trade, collected their own taxes, made their own laws. Some, such as Florence, were republics that were governed by elected officials. Some were dictatorships where you didn't have that chance to have elected officials be what you were governed by. And during the Renaissance, we get this group of guild members called boards, um, that were usually members, and members were changed frequently. But here's the thing: people like the Medicis and other high known families and families that had a lot of money during this time were able to rule and continue to be rulers during this time, and part of the boards for hundreds of years because they had money and they had influence, and that's where we get to the Medici family. And like I said, they were in Florence. So if we go to the next slide, when we look, you have the color code here, but you can see Florence is right here, this like light green. And if we erase, right here is the area of Florence. Now, if we were in class, you guys would be doing a map, color coding the map, and so forth and so on, because I know how much you guys like that. But Florence becomes really the one of the most influential city states, and it's kind of interesting when you look at these names. Okay, think about the United States. You can even think about Ohio in itself. All right, cities in Ohio that are named from these: Milan, Manaway, Genoa, Ravenna, Rome. I think there's a Padua, maybe. I've heard that. I can't remember if there's a Venice, but look at all of these cities that were huge during that time. And here, let's see, Naples, Ohio. There's a Naples, Ohio. No, there is not a Naples, Ohio. Um, so, um, but you can see though how um, these cities are very influential in the name aspect of it. There is a Padua, Ohio, but you can look and see though that these cities in itself are extremely influential, and the names of these immigrants that come from the entirety, or let's say from Ravenna, might have been the first people to settle where Ravenna, Ohio is now, right down by Newton Falls in Kent, and they name it Ravenna. So you can really see that these Italian city-states didn't just stop their influence here at the end of the Renaissance, but the people that were coming to the United States during the early years of expansion of the westward expansion, they were bringing their immigrant aspects with them, their way of life, the names of their cities, and so forth, and saying, "Hey, this is a good place to settle. Let's call it Ravenna." Excuse me, or let's call it Manway. So, but really, what we're really going to concentrate on is right here in Florence. Um, they were the most influential of all of them. You can argue that aspect. Venice is pretty influential also, but you really think about it. This right here, remember, you had the Silk Road. The Silk Road pretty much does this and finds its easy ways through the passages of the mountains. But you're looking at Venice and Manaway and Parma. There's another city in Ohio that you're looking at, being right on that Silk Road, Milan, Milan, if you want to make it Italian. And then they really just start spreading ideas throughout the Italian peninsula. So we were looking at the Medici family, all right, and we talked about how these like the Medici family in itself really brought together the main aspects and main people during the Renaissance that we really talk about for the most part. So I found this website. It's geared more towards younger kids, but they really do give you this important members. of the Medici family here, and you can see Giovanni. He was the like the beginning of this. He was the founder of the Medici Bank. He allowed the family to become wealthy and allow them to support the arts. Now you get to Cosimo right here. Okay, he supported the famous sculptors Donatello and Brunicelli. We'll look at Brunicelli down the road a little bit when we look at architecture, but these two people are huge people during the Renaissance. You go to Lorenzo next. Um, he supported. He was basically the peak of the Italian Renaissance, and he supported. Look at these names: Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci and Sandro Botticelli. Um, we don't really talk about Sandro Botticelli, but the other two are huge. And then you get Pope Leo the 10th here, and he supports Raphael. So you're getting the entirety of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were being supported by the Medici family during the time. So maybe the Medici family was like Splinter. They were the ones that were helping these young and not well known artists and architects at that point in time. So maybe we could consider them the Splinter of the Renaissance. But you can still go down here too a little bit, where you can see Catherine. She marries King Henry of France. She becomes Queen of France. So they go from wealthy, basically just wealthy bankers, to now royalty. Um, she plays a major role in bringing the arts and ballet to French courts. And then you see Marie de Medici. She becomes Queen of France when she marries King Henry the Fourth. She also acted as regent for her young son Louis the 13th. Before he became king, her court painter was a famous guy named Peter Rawl Rubens. Um, Names that you really don't know, but here's some other people that that worked for them. Galileo, I know you guys know that person. He initially named four of the moons of Jupiter he discovered after children of the Medici family. So he was naming them after the family who was probably paying for him really to do this stuff. And they really did a lot of huge things. For those of you that like the piano, Fernando de Medici helped fund the invention of the piano. So you have this aspect where the Medici family was huge, and one might be able to argue the fact that if, if the Medici family was was not around, the Renaissance may not have spread um, like it did in the ideas and the paintings, and they might not have had somebody who was interested in these paintings and interested in art and architecture and sculpture and all of these things, and music and dance to try and spread the ideas of the Renaissance. So when we really look, um, people from all over Europe came to northern Italy to buy and sell and do their banking. Um, You had places like Florence became a center for cloth making and baking. Milan produced metal goods and armor. The port city of Genoa was a trade center for ivory and gold from North Africa. Venice was the most powerful city-state, not the most influential, but the most powerful. Had hundreds of ships that controlled the trade routes in the Mediterranean Sea. Silk, spices, perfume, all came in from Asia into Venice. So people were getting rich. Merchants were becoming rich. It wasn't just royalty at this point in time. Rich families paid for the creation of statues, paintings, buildings, elegant avenues. They built new centers for learning, like universities and hospitals. And from the city-states of Italy, Renaissance ideas basically really took off and spread to the rest of Europe. So when we look at this, we're really concentrating on Italy because of the beginning and the maybe say the father or parents of the Renaissance. without Italy, we might not be seeing the spread of Renaissance ideas. Honestly, without the Crusades, we might not have a interest in the rebirth of the looking at the old aspects of Rome and Greece. So let me see what we got here. We're going to stop there, and we'll kind of look at humanism um, maybe next week. I'll give you guys another question that comes off of this video, but we're gonna watch the video, and I'll talk to you guys a little bit about the video on humanism, and also you can see this is the Vitruvian Man, and what the philosophy of humanism is, and how it spread, and some of these early humanistic scholars that were huge in the idea of spreading humanism and the belief of human beings being an integral part of the world and living a good life. So hopefully, I'm gonna put a thing out today, an announcement that we're gonna have a get together here, probably about like 3:30. So hopefully you guys can join, and we can possibly talk about some ideas of what you guys might want to do other than totally quitting. So hopefully you guys are having a good day. Enjoy the 70-degree weather at least, even though it's going to rain. So I will talk to some of you guys if you guys show up at about 3:30.